Okay, everyone. Let me just pull up today's agenda. Okay, I call this meeting to order today, April 7th at 7:08 p.m. Are there any amendments to today's agenda? I'll begin with Sherry.
Hi, sorry, Tommy, I have a couple things. The first one is, can I strike bag allocations? And then, can I add a letter of support for Assembly Constitutional Amendment 18? And then also, can I add a letter of support for AB 1650? And
That's
will send both for you.
a motion for.
Oh, sorry.
You can do the first one, yeah.
Do I? Okay. Can I motion to add a letter of support for Assembly Constitutional Amendment 18?
Second.
Sherry motions, Edison seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, all abstaining. With a vote of 13 to 0, that is approved.
And then can I also motion to add a letter of support for Assembly Bill 1650?
Second.
Sherry motions, Edison seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, all abstaining. With a vote of 13 to 0, that is approved.
Okay, I'll send it to Tommy.
Wait, Sherry, can you also add the two that I sent you? Thank you. Both of them, please. We'll go with Nico for now.
Hey everyone, can I strike USAC/BOD funding, please? And then also, the funding link is for last quarter.
Edison.
Hello. Can we strike CS Transport Fund from the funding allocation list? Thank you.
Chris.
For a discretionary request, do we have to agendize that? If I would like to ask for one?
The discretionary, it's under my name, but just to clarify, I think it should be under Chris's name. Divine.
Hi, can we strike ARC allocations?
Sherry, can I come back to you? Or no? Can you motion to add the two letters?
Can I also motion to add a letter of support for Assembly Bill 2374?
Oh, damn, let me send it to you. Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, all abstaining. With a vote of 13 to 0, that agenda item is added onto tonight's agenda. And then there's the second one.
Yeah, and then can I also motion to add a letter of support for Senate Bill 1255 to the agenda?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Daniel seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, all abstaining. With a vote of 14 to 0, that agenda item is added on to tonight's agenda for April 7th. Any other amendments? Tommy?
Can I add a presentation by J-Board?
Yes. Right? Anybody else? Can we please get a motion to approve?
Sorry, raising my hand, but can we please strike TJF allocations?
Yep. Oh, also, can we please, I think I'll just do it now. Can we please motion to enter executive session regarding an OSAC matter? Tommy seconds.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining with a vote of 13 to 0 to 0. We will go into executive session at the end of the meeting. Jonathan?
Can we get access to the last two of Sherry's letters?
Oh, yes. That's me. Sorry about that. You good? Can we get a motion, please, to finalize tonight's agenda? Nico?
I motion to approve the USAC agenda for April 7th, 2026.
For a second? Nico motion, Sherry seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against and all abstaining with a vote of 14 to 0 to 0. Tonight's agenda on April 7th is approved. Next, we will move on to our previous meeting minutes. I think, Tommy, we need access to letter as well. Jonathan, either be to the, okay. I think it should be updated. We will now move on to, I hope everyone had a chance to take a look at our previous meeting minutes. And if there are no questions or concerns, we can approve of those tonight. Next, we will move on to public comments. Is there anybody in the crowd here today for public comments? Yes. We may begin public comments. As usual, you have 2 minutes per public comments.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Sorry I was gone last week. We have a quick update on our oceans campaign, which is our major and basically only priority this quarter, is just to win. Because we've been working on this campaign for over 3 years to expand protections for California's coasts. And this spring is when the governor and his state agencies have to decide on the state of protections for the next decade. And so it's really kind of crunch time to actually recruit as many people as possible to actually come to the final public input hearings, so we can show that the public supports expanding protections for our coastline. And so we're having our Oceans Rally tomorrow from 6 to 7 in Kaplan A51 to turn a bunch of people out and start getting really hyped to head to the hearing that we're going to be going to, which is in San Clemente on May 19th. But we're having hearings across the state over the whole course of spring quarter. So the first one in NorCal in San Mateo is actually coming up in less than 2 weeks. So we're driving recruitment as much as we can to that to actually show that the public is on our side. We know that 82% of people actually support expanding marine protections, but that's not who the government is mostly hearing from. And so we need to show people actually support this. So we've been talking to professors in our class announcements this last week. and also just trying to get as many students signed up to come testify as possible. So would love to work with you guys on that this quarter, but that is my update.
Much. Just adjusting a link. Any speakers for public comment online? All right, with that, I close public comment today at 7:19 p.m. We will now move on to contingency programming.
Hi, everyone. This week we had a total contingency programming request of $24,941, and we recommend an allocation of $10,130.67 for one USAC entity and 33 non-USAC entities. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions, comments? If not, can we please get a motion?
I motion to approve contingency programming request of $10,130.67 for one USAC entity and 33 non-USAC entities.
Is there a second?
I second.
Sherry motions, Daniel seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With a vote of 12 to 0, that contingency programming allocations is approved. Next, we have SFS allocations.
Hi everyone. This week SFS recommends an allocation of $16,087.31 to 4 USAC entities and 18 non-USAC entities.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Thank you, Edison. Next, we will move on to SWC programming fund allocations.
This week, SWC recommends an allocation of $1,288 to 2 USAC entities and 2 non-USAC entities.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments regarding that funding allocation? If not, we will move on with ASRF allocations and AAC travel mini grant with Chris.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry, I'm bringing up the numbers. This week for Travel Grant Mini Fund, we recommend an allocation of 10 non-USAC entities. And the allocation recommended is $3,077 with 12 cents. And then for Academic Success Referendum Fund, we recommend an allocation of $800 to 2 non-USAC entities.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding that funding allocation? If not, those are approved. Next, we are moving on to discretionary again with Chris.
Hey, so my office is running the Spring Resource Fair. As I mentioned during our last meeting, I do know that my office has been in communication with a lot of the other offices in the space. Up to date, we have 70 entities slash departments slash student organizations on campus who have committed to attending, from like the financial scholarships and enrichment center to like different centers on campus, but we have about 70 folks attending. And we also did this fair last year, and it was a huge success, which is why we decided to do it this year and just increase our capacity to have more diverse representation across the school. And so we're requesting, my team and I are requesting money to be able to front some of the costs. So let me get that number for, I had it here. Yeah, so we're requesting $2,959 to cover some of the costs associated with the large scale programming that will happen because we have so many clubs in attendance. Do I need to say anything else, Diego, or is that?
I mean, it's up to you. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Are there any
yeah,
questions,
well,
council members?
yeah.
Yes, Divine.
I was just wondering how much money is left over or left in discretionary.
Jonathan.
As of today, it is $17,934.65, but that's not including anything that's pending, which is like your vacuum rack and maybe one other.
So yeah, any other questions? If not, Chris, you can motion.
I motion for, let me see. I motion for a discretionary fund transfer of $2,959.
The correct terminology is discretionary allocation. Chris, if you
I
want to.
motion for a discretionary allocation of $2,959 for the spring resource fair.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Chris motions, Daniel seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against and all abstaining. With a vote of 13-0, that discretionary allocation is approved. Next, we will have our It's On Us presentation. Are they in person or online? Tell me. Yeah, okay.
All right. Hi, y'all. Can y'all hear me okay? I'm going to take that as a yes. Let me just share my screen real quick. Okay, there we go. All right, so hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Blake Kitterman was supposed to be here. He's the director of organizing and programming, but he is stuck in Pennsylvania for a conference, so I will be filling in for him in his place. But before I introduce myself, I do want to start with a moment that I think like many of us have experienced at one point in time. You're at a party or maybe just like a dorm hangout and everything just feels normal, right? Until it suddenly just doesn't. And maybe someone is being pressured to drink more than they want, or maybe someone makes a comment that crosses the line but like laughs it off, or maybe just someone looks uncomfortable and no one quite knows what to do. And in that moment, there's this pause and you think, should I say something? Or is this actually a problem? Or is it my place? And then the moment passes. And not because people don't care, but because, they don't feel equipped to act. My name is Timothy Page, and I'm an organizing and training program manager here at It's On Us. I just graduated from Ohio State, and I'm currently based in Detroit, which if you've been paying attention to March Madness, you know that it has been tense, for lack of a better phrase. But I've been with ILU for almost a year, and in my role, I work with student leaders across the country, supporting them in just building real sustainable prevention work on their campuses. And really, just no matter where I go, from like I said, from large universities to like small private colleges, I see the same thing. And the thing is that students care deeply about this issue, or rather, we care deeply about this issue, and we want to do the right thing. But a lot of times we always just don't feel like we have the tools to really step into that moment. And so, there we go. And so It's on Us started back in 2014 as this really bold initiative of the Obama-Biden White House. And it was born from the idea that everyone, especially students, has a role to play in ending sexual assault on campus. And so at its core, it was really a call to action, right? To challenge the cultural norms that allow sexual harm to happen, and to give young people the tools to intervene and support one another, and ultimately just create safer communities. And so since then, It's on Us has grown into an independent nonprofit with one of the largest student-led prevention networks in the country. And today we're active on hundreds of campuses, running thousands of events and trainings and awareness campaigns each year. But what really makes this movement powerful is the culture, really, because it's about empowering students like you all to step up and just challenge harmful behavior when you see it and model healthy and respectful relationships. And so every pledge that's signed and every conversation that's started and just really every train delivered by a peer educator, it really moves us closer to a world where sexual assault is not tolerated and that every student feels safe and supported. And at that time, most efforts focused on response, right? What happens after harm occurs. And that work matters, right? But what we asked was different. We asked, what if we focus on stopping harm before it happens? And that's really where our work begins. And, this slide is very dangerous for me because every time I see it, I want to talk for like 20 minutes. But what I really want you to see is that It's on Us isn't a theory. And it's not a hashtag that like faded away after 2014. It's this. It's chapters, it's campuses, students, whether or not we're talking about Boston or Austin or New Orleans or Philadelphia, or maybe even cities that you've never heard of, at schools that you would never even expect. I've talked to students at some of these places, and what they say, whether that's, again, at a huge state school or like a tiny liberal arts college, is that, we didn't start because we were experts, but, we started because something happened or almost happened. And we realized that nobody's really coming to save us. And that's a really honest truth, y'all, because now those students are training their peers and they're changing how parties work, and they're getting guys to actually show up to prevention workshops without rolling their eyes or feeling like it's this this mandate or this responsibility. And not because they're perfect, but because they decided to stop waiting. And I don't want you to just see like where you are at UCLA, but I want you to think about where UCLA fits into this larger national story. Because right now, again, this is a national movement. And the question is UCLA going to be a part of it or lead within it? And I'm pretty sure that we all are thinking the exact same thing. And this is what it looks like when SGAs or student governments get involved, and not just supporting the work, but again, actually leading it. You're looking at SGAs that have raised tens of thousands of dollars for their prevention efforts. You're looking at SGAs that have led campus-wide initiatives like Prevention Weeks, and have partnered with Title IX offices and other student awards, and really just put prevention at the center of campus culture and not just within the margins. And what makes this powerful is that this isn't coming from the outside. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're like the national nervous system of these chapters, but it's coming from student leaders like you all who already have influence and already have platforms and are already, shaping what the campus pays attention to. And through It's on Us, SGAs are taking that influence and really just turning it into impact. And so I really want to show you how this all works, because I know that none of you, again, have the time for something that sounds too good on paper, but then, tends to like fall apart because of lack of sustainability. This is our peer EDU. It stands for Prevention Education and Empowerment Resources. I don't anticipate that you'll remember the whole name, because half the time I don't remember the whole phrase. But it is the backbone of the It's on Us program. And what I love about it is that it's not that like one-time training where everyone nods along and they forget everything 2 weeks later. but it's an entire system and it's an entire program. So we have tier 1, which is our foundational trainings that every basically the basics that every student leader should know. So like bystander intervention, sexual assault prevention, dating violence. And then tier 2 goes a little bit deeper. And this is where we talk about engaging men and how we are trauma informed in our prevention efforts, as well as just online dating safety. And then we have tier 3 as our advanced leadership tier. So pretty much like I teach you how to organize campaigns and how to write your own curriculums, and generally just community level prevention that you can take within any social cause, whether or not that's fracking or voting rights, right? But the part that actually works for you as student government is that when a student completes a tier, they get a certificate which they can use on like resumes or CVs or LinkedIn's. All in all, just like a real recognition is something that they can put on a resume or mention again in an interview. And now the cool thing about the peer EDU is that it doesn't just train students, but it also gives you all as a government a clear framework that you can hand to administrators and say, hey, look, here's the tracking, here's the certification, here's the proof that our students are prepared to run these events and workshops without burning out your office staff. And right now, I think if you ask admin to fund or maybe support prevention work, they'll probably say something like, yeah, that's great, but who's going to run it? Or who's trained, or who's accountable? And Peer EDU answers every single one of those questions. And it turns, again, motivated students, the ones already knocking on your door wanting to help, into these trained certified leaders. And it scales across a campus the size. And it's practical, and it really just keeps the burden off of any office or of any one exhausted student. And so, also, when you hear peer education, I don't want you to think of like a workshop in like a really stuffy classroom, but I want you to think of it as a system that really gives you leverage within admin or recognition for your members, and it's a real path to changing culture and not just talking about it. And then we also have our issue and community-specific programming, and this is really what just sets us apart when it comes to our commitment to tailored prevention programming. So we developed this Abuse is Not Love Suite in collaboration with Yves Saint Laurent Beauty to really just give students the tools to recognize signs of abusive relationships and to decode relationship dynamics and just master conflict resolution. We've also made a dedicated track for queer students as well, which tackles preventing abuse in queer communities and just combating myths and stereotypes that often put these students at higher risk. And these targeted programs, they do two things. The one is that they really fill the gaps that are left by that one-size-fits-all prevention model. And they really just equip student leaders with content that is directly relevant and actionable and inclusive. And this also ensures that your campus prevention efforts are not only comprehensive, but also culturally competent and responsive to the communities that you serve on an everyday basis. And now to bring it all together, really all of this comes together at the Partners in Prevention Summit. And I want to be clear that this is not another conference, because a lot of the times I get bored at conferences after like noon, right? But this is a working space, and students come in with questions and also leave with strategies. And you do build skills, yes, but you also build plans for what you're going to take back to your campus, even though we're going to be like in probably the next room over. But I also want to speak directly to you all as leaders as to say that UCLA is a leader, and whatever happens here influences other campuses, whether we notice it or not. And going back to the previous question I asked, it's not about whether this is valuable, but rather what role does UCLA want to play in shaping campus culture nationally? Do you just want to adopt change, or do you actually want to lead it? And you don't have to answer that, because I think it's lead it, because you all are in this room and listen to me spill about this whole thing. And I really just want to end where I started also, and that was with that moment, right? That pause and that question of, should I say something? Our goal is really simple, and it is to make sure that when that moment happens, students don't freeze and they don't second guess themselves, but they act, because culture doesn't change all at once. And it changes when people decide that normal isn't good enough anymore. And from what I can see, that kind of leadership is already in the room, even though I have not met any of you. So my ask, say the date. It's going to be next Saturday, April 18th, 2026. Second, bring your voice, bring your leadership, and bring all of your questions. This summit isn't just for people who are already working in prevention, but it's really for anyone who wants UCLA to be a safer and just healthier and more accountable campus, because you all have the power to shape culture, and we're just wanting to give you the toolkit. Also, another incentive is where I mentioned before that we partner with YSL. they shipped us 12 warehouse pallets of beauty products that we had to get rid of. So any student that registers, they will also receive YSL products, as well as a $25 Lyft credit from our partners at Lyft as well. Just again, for anyone that registers. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions that the group has that I maybe didn't address.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions? Yes, Brett.
Not a question. Oh, is this, can you hear me? Okay. Not a question, but more so just a follow-up. What's a good way to reach out to you guys if we wanted to continue like our working relationship and try to figure out like programming or something in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. You can actually reach out to me. I'm just gonna drop my email in the chat really quickly. Yeah, just send me an email, and I would be so glad to set up some time to connect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions? All right, y'all. Well, don't want to take up any more of your time. Have a good one, and also you can use this QR code to register for the summit, and I'll also send a follow-up to all of you just with this information that I presented on. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
one.
Next, we will move on to the judicial board presentation. I believe they are here in person. You may come up to the mic and share if you do have a visual, like a graphic visual that you would like to present, or no? Can you please share it, email it to ivp@usac.ucla.edu? Thank you. ivp@usac.ucla.edu. You may begin.
Hi, I'm Alessandra. I'm one of the associate justices with the Judicial Board.
I'm Nikki. I'm also an associate justice at the Judicial Board.
Just wanted to share what we've been doing for the past quarter, but just as a reminder, the Judicial Board is the judicial branch of the UCLA Undergraduate Students Association, and we serve in a similar capacity as the United States Supreme Court. The Judicial Board primarily adjudicates disputes involving infractions of the USA Constitution, bylaws, and election code. Additionally, we serve as the Board of Appeals concerning decisions made by the Elections Board.
Is there like a problem with the presentation not being up? Or should I just continue? Sorry. Okay, that's perfect, that slide actually. All right, so we also wanted to show you how we track our time across different responsibilities that we have throughout the quarter. So this is just a recap of the winter quarter. As an example, members spend time reviewing petition materials to understand each case, participating in hearings and deliberations where we evaluated evidence and made decisions, and also preparing and delivering presentations to USAC like today to support transparency and outreach. So this is just to show the range of work that we do, from case preparation to decision making and communication.
For the next slide. Okay, perfect. So we were able to hear a case this past quarter, and so on February 25th, Jordan King, who's from the CPO Student Leadership Council, had filed a petition alleging that the USAC Elections Board had improperly implied the elections code by ruling the Basic and Essential Needs, otherwise known as BEN, initiative ineligible due to missing a week 7 deadline. The petitioner had argued that the deadline was not listed in the elections calendar, which designates it as the guiding document for the election cycle. The judicial board accepted the case and we heard it on March 6th. So we had to consider two main questions. One was whether the elections board had deprived CPO of equal opportunity to participate, which had violated Article 1, Section 1.1.2 of the Elections Code. And the second question was whether it enforced a material eligibility deadline that was not listed in the elections calendar. So the board ultimately ruled in favor of the respondent on the first question and in favor of the petitioner on the second question. However, the board declined to reinstate the Ben initiative as a remedy. Even without enforcing the deadline as binding, the submission, which was made on Friday evening around 8 p.m. of week 7, fell outside any reasonable interpretation of the listed deadline of early week 7. So as a result, we had decided the reinstatement was not an appropriate remedy despite the procedural violation. And so that concludes the case that we heard this past winter quarter, and now I'll hand it off to Nikki to talk about the timeline.
All right, so this slide provides an overview of how the case timeline works during election periods, walks through the general flow from when a petition is received to the preliminary hearing, and then to the full hearing and final decision. What's important to note here is that during elections, everything moves on a much tighter timeline. Based on the code, we're required to respond and act much faster, so the process is intentionally expedited. That means preliminary hearings can happen very quickly, sometimes even the same day, and full hearings can follow shortly after. Even with that speed, though, we still have to ensure that the process remains fair and thorough for everyone involved. So this highlights why having enough justices is critical for us. We need a minimum of 4 justices to meet quorum, and right now we are operating at that minimum. So every member's availability really matters. So instances where one may be sick or can't show up would cause a problem for us. And beyond that, all of our current justices are seniors and we will be graduating. So on top of maintaining quorum, we also need to make sure incoming justices are well trained and prepared, both for any hearings and also because they'll be the ones that will lead the judicial board next academic year.
That's it. We're open for any questions at this time.
Are there any questions from council members? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Move on to officer reports. I will keep mine written. One update, however, is that our UCLA appointees to the student region nomination process, Namrata is currently reviewing applications with the other council members on the Council of Presidents. So that's just updates. Tommy?
Hey guys, so the student success referendum was approved by UCOP, so now we're awaiting approval from the chancellor. The end of the year USAC gala date has been set for Monday, May 11th at 7 p.m. So save the date. There's some other things I'm blanking on, but it will be in the officer report.
Hi. Our office is busy as can be. We have like 5 lobby days in the next 2 weeks, sending students to Sacramento, ending off with our large first annual Bruin Lobby Day where we're taking our office to Sacramento, like our entire office, and they've been working really hard on finding legislation and doing research, meeting with stakeholders, lots of different things. We're also working on our Assembly constitutional amendment, which we'll talk quite a bit about later in this meeting. And then also have worked with the rest of the UCs to write a compact or a demand letter to governor candidates that we are going to start getting signatures from students and organizations about. We have a couple of different events coming up, but other than that, everything else will be written.
Talia?
Just like a reminder about the Lyft rideshare program that's starting this Thursday and continuing to Saturday. If you guys could all repost if you haven't already. Also, this Tuesday. Obviously, you guys will be at council, but an event that I would really appreciate you guys sharing with your offices and staff. We're bringing a former hostage who was in captivity in Gaza for 505 days to share his story. Obviously, regardless of what you may all individually feel about the overall conflict, I feel like this is an incredibly important and unique perspective to hear about. And the event is very much like structured around fostering dialogue across difference. So I will share the link if you guys would like to share to people within your office. And if you guys would like to speak to the hostage, his name is Omar Shemtov. He will also be tabling on Bruin Walk and is open to answering any questions you guys may have about his experience in captivity.
Yeah, is not here. Or does she have a? Oh, Jay, you are here. Jay. Brett.
We just had our student renters' rights workshop and forum. That's why I was 10 minutes late. So sorry about that. But we had a really great turnout. I want to say thanks to everyone who promoted, who showed up. I want to say thanks to everyone who I organized it with. Also, the UCLA law students, they're probably not going to hear this, but you know, it was great. I mean, that's kind of what I've been really focusing on and our office has been focusing on, but we're also currently collecting clothes in collaboration with Unravel for a spring mutual aid fair in the future. I'm working right now with SMRTC and the care office to find some dates that work for a potential presentation for everyone here. We had the pleasure of hearing Dr. Nicole Presley from the care office speak to our office at a general last quarter, and it was very informative. And I think, she just has such a way with words that it's important to, we kind of heard a little bit about the presentation earlier about how important it is to do this education and how important it is to get in front of student leaders. So I'm hoping to kind of do my own version of that as well. But that's it. Thank you.
Sorry. Chris, or I don't know, if someone is here. Yes, Chris.
Yeah. Refer to my written report. Thank you, Diego.
Daniel.
Hello, everyone. Just want to shout out a couple things that are upcoming. We have a sneak screening of Tom Blythe's and David Johnson's new movie next Monday, March 13th at the Landmark at 6:30. It's called Wasteman. It looks really cool. If you guys are free, you guys should definitely go. And then just wanted to shout out something later in the month. We have our annual Hammer Arts Party on the 24th. Headliner will be announced hopefully soon. Yeah, super excited about that. And yeah, we just have really, really excited about this quarter. We have a lot of events. But yeah, that's it.
Hello. Yeah, so just wanted to share that once again, the Robert S. Michael Scholarship application is open and it can be found on CSE's Instagram in the link tree. Just yeah, help to share it with your staff. The winners will get $1,000 in Finite, and then they also get $250 to any student organization of their choice for the next upcoming school year. So it's a pretty cool award. And then the rest will be written. Thank you.
Divine.
Hi everyone. We just announced World Fest yesterday. We've been working on this for months, so super excited about it. We have a Sunset Craft Fair on Monday in Kirkhoff Patio, a dance workshop, a No English open mic in collaboration for it on Wednesday, a Flavors of the World event, and sun printing. All the extra details are written and on our Instagram. ARC applications are due Friday, April 24th for events week 6 through 10. And then our first event of the quarter is this Thursday. It's a concerts business entertainment panel in collaboration with UBS in Bruin Reception Room from 6 to 8. But yeah, we're just planning everything else for the rest of the quarter.
Joy.
People, Planet, Fashion, hosted by Environmental Justice Now and By Your Values, is happening next Tuesday, the 14th, from 5 to 7 p.m. in Kirkhoff Grand Salon and Patio. Please come to learn more about ethical and sustainable purchasing on campus and engage with our other student sustainability organizations. The ticket itself is free, but there will be a suggested donation to LA Climate Week. And then later this month, we will be having our Earth Day extravaganza on April 22nd, as well as Ciclavia on April 26th. The rest is written.
Nico?
Hey everyone, if you know anyone who wants to apply to the USA/BOD fund, or if you want to, applications are due on Friday. And this is our last funding cycle of the year, not including our potential funding cycle depending on surplus funding. And then also, our commuter parking permit scholarships close on Friday as well. So if you know any commuters who want to have some aid in paying for the cost of the commuter parking permit, please apply. And then finally, FSC distributed our full inventory of 203 lab coats and goggles. We had like over 500 signups though. So FSC will be requesting more money for that program during surplus as a little spoiler. Anyway, that's all.
Very sorry. Anna?
Hi everyone. This week is Sex Week hosted by Sexperts and also the Health Education Research Team at the Ash Center. I won't go through every event, but there are still 7 more events this week that you can attend. And they all look super cool, so please show up. And then the other thing I wanted to announce is that a health and wellness vending machine is now operational outside of the Ash Center. It has free Narcan, fentanyl test strips, condoms, and menstrual products, and then also a bunch of low cost, just other health supplies. But yeah, if you have any feedback on that too, let me know.
Thank you. Hiram?
Um, We've started preparing for our yearly USAC 101 presentations to incoming transfer students. So if you guys are interested in having your office represented within, our slideshows, please send us over your updated platforms and like what you guys have accomplished, just so we can show new transfers the cool stuff that USAC is doing. We are continuing our transfer awareness trainings. We have EVP. We're giving one to EVP pretty soon. But if you or your office are interested in receiving transfer awareness trainings from my team, email tsr@, tsr.adminaffairs@usac.ucla.edu. And we're doing a lot of cool different events. Like we have a True Bruin checklist event coming up where we're challenging graduating seniors to check off as many things on their list as possible. And we obviously have the Dodgers versus Mets free game tickets that are live on our Instagram right now. I think all of our tickets are taken, but if you would like a spot on the wait list, please still sign up. The wait list, actually, you have a pretty good chance of getting off of it. The game is next Tuesday. So I guess this is my warning that I'll be doing USAC via Zoom because I'm gonna go see the Dodgers and the Mets. But yeah, and we're continuing to organize details for Transfer Mingle with the Transfer Student Center. And we're just doing a lot of stuff to welcome new Transfer Bruins in. So if you ever want to collaborate, let me know.
Kaya?
So on April 9th, which is day after tomorrow, we have a collaboration event with the Palestinian Student Union, and we're going to be making manakish at Hitchin, and it's open to everybody. On the 15th, we're gonna be tabling at the Spring Resource Fair, so you can find us there. On April 30th, we have a speaker event, and more details will come out soon. May 8th is the date set for ISR prom, and that's gonna be in the Cowell ballroom. It's gonna be super fun this year. We have like a lot of new exciting things happening there, so make sure all of you are there. Um, Global Bites is happening May 13th. Uh, the Dash U year end Global Bruins celebration is May 20th in the Denev Plaza room. And the publicity team at ISR is working on a short film project. So anyone interested is like the interest form is open for that.
Thank you. We will now move on to administrative representatives, beginning with Orlando.
Hello, everyone. A couple of announcements. Uh, the Charles E. Young Humanitarian Award ceremony will be on May 20th, and currently CEY applications are available. If you or you know someone that was involved with the registered campus organization that was doing community service work between January 1st, 2026 and April 17th, 2026, you are eligible to apply. In addition to the CEY application, there's also going to be a UCLA Volunteer Center Mongeli Award that you can apply for, as well as Westcom Community Award. And all will be recognized at the CEY Award on May 20th. Last Friday was the last day students groups could register for spring quarter. Next week we'll be hosting their one-stop Wednesday in person with a series of new org workshops, and then Thursday with a series of virtual workshops that will center on more than just registered groups, things like youth safety training, things of that nature. So if you know someone that started a group and needs to complete this process, they must attend these workshops. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thanks.
Thank you. Lorelai?
Hello. Okay, so I have two action items that everyone needs to complete, one of which Jonathan shared last week, which is your transition docs will be due on the 24th. So be sure to collect any and all information that you have to, provide to those that will be elected into said positions in the future. And then beyond that, I also sent out a cognito form for advisor feedback. So that one I have listed as due next Wednesday. So if you can provide feedback on generally like how between Jonathan, myself, Orlando, and Lori advise you, and like if there's anything we can do better or communicate our roles better in the beginning of the year, anything like that that we can, use to improve things for the future, please let us know. All of that is anonymous. And then beyond that, USA BOD Chair Emery is not with us anymore for the quarter, and so Tessa will be taking her place, but currently she is underneath the title of Assistant BOD Chair. So keep an eye out for her application for those of you that are in ARC for USA BOD Chair, so that way we can get that formality, put away, so that way she can get paid the correct stipend in her acting role as the chair. And then lastly, we have a little shadow box or bulletin board on the first floor of Kirkhoff that I want to fill with different things related to student government. So if you have any old like stickers or t-shirts or anything that shouts out your office, that if someone's unaware of your existence on the third or fourth floor and they walk by it, they go, how cute, let me go explore the third and fourth floor. Other than that, that's it.
Hey, hi. Oh, excuse me. Hey, hi, hello, all. Just a few things from me. One, I dropped it in the Slack, but the annual ASUCLA talent show is coming up, and I know you're all such talented individuals. And there's cash prizes for the top three, $300, $200, and $100 for the top three, which I think is pretty good. We have had a prior council member win. If you'll remember Chris Ramsey a couple years ago, he won the first ASUCLA talent show. So if you're interested, feel free to enter. I put that details in the Slack. I also put this in Slack, but just wanted to give you a reminder that since you have less meetings this quarter, since your term ends, that you have less meetings that you can miss this quarter attendance-wise. So you can miss 2 this quarter instead of 3. And any beyond the 2 is 1 stipend check. Um, Some of you may have gotten it today, or you will be getting it soon. An email from Dominique and Carla in Campus Life regarding committee request forms. So every year for your appointments, we ask everyone on campus to refill out the form to tell us who they need, who their contact information is, how many of you they need, etc. And some of you may be the contact people for some of these committees, right? So like if it's E-Board or USABOD or J-Board or whatever it may be, and especially any of those standing committee ones, um, if you get that email and you're not sure what committee it's for, let us know. If you are, please fill that out or we'll be following up to get that done. None of those app roles go into the appointment system to be applied for and then appointed until that form is filled out. So if you have any questions on that, let us know. And then last but certainly not least, I have official confirmation that carryover does come next week.
Like 5 of you have asked me, okay?
So keep an eye. SGA will send over to Tommy this week for it to be added to your agenda for next week to present it, and then I will connect with Diego this week on the exact process that you all will take in order to allocate said funds. Yeah, if you have more questions, SGA and such will be here next week to present. Otherwise, have a wonderful week.
Thank you. Next, we will move on to USA bylaw amendments. Oh wait, Lori, sorry. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So
It's
sorry.
okay.
You can
My
take
only
over.
update is my only update is it's Bruin Day this weekend. So if you're on campus and you see like moms trying to take pictures of their kid, like offer to take a picture of both of them so they have that memory. That's all. Just welcome the class of 2030, which makes me feel really old, but just be nice and welcome them. That's all.
And if you would like to attend Bruin Day, I will be there speaking to class of 2030. So if you would like to attend, please let me know. Thank you, Lori. Next, we have our USA bylaw amendments. Jonathan, I'm going to pass that over to you.
It's been passed over to me.
Beautiful.
We, as in me, Tommy, and Divine, have sat through a 1.5 hour meeting with Jonathan earlier this morning to go over the basics of the bylaw amendments. They were mostly from the parliamentarian. There were other aspects of the bylaws that we just have not seen enacted in USAC for a while. A lot of them were just a lot of the fixes were also just grammatical errors. I painstakingly listened while Jonathan also painstakingly explained. So I can assure you it's been well vetted, but I do encourage council members to each go through their own section of the bylaws. Like a lot of the like I'm sure we all have gone through the bylaws before, right? We each have a section under that that says like, especially if you have appointments, like who you appoint, and like what committees you technically sit on as an elected officer, and they really differ per person. And while I got to speak for myself and some of the positions that I knew well enough to speak on behalf of, I couldn't well enough vet the other commission, especially the commissions. So I encourage commissioners, especially to go over their section of the bylaws and just review and read over and make sure that everything looks good. If not, just like flag it. I think Jonathan can like just revoke it, and then we'll put it to a vote next week.
Yes, thank you, Hiram. Definitely want to echo that specific portion. There are sections that you'll see, particularly in those areas that are for you, is that they're highlighted. Those are things that, as I was going through, I was like, does this still exist? Do they still do this? Question mark. And so I highlighted those things. So if you see something that's highlighted, if it still exists and it's good to go, great, let me know. If it doesn't exist and needs to be cut, also let me know. And also if you have questions about like what was cut or moved around, a lot of what this is trying to make this document less repetitive and more useful. We did go through quite literally all 180 pages of it today. Uh, so like when you see that like in your particular section, it's like striking your appointments. It's not because you don't have those appointments anymore. It's because that's all now consolidated in the appointments section and things like that. So if you have those kinds of questions, I'm happy to help and answer as well. And then I do also encourage you all just to generally like take your time to look through it, unless you would like me to once again take an hour and a half to go through it next week, page by page.
So are we voting for this today? Oh, sorry. Nico?
Did you say that all changes are highlighted?
No, the things I was unsure about are highlighted.
Okay. Can I ask a specific question?
You can ask me offline, yes.
Okay.
Anybody else? Are we voting? We're voting on this today, though, no? Oh, okay, beautiful. Sounds great. Thank you. We move on to Sherry's resolution.
Oh, hi. Okay. We kind of have been like sort of talking about this a couple times the past month, but our office worked really closely with the UC Student Association to introduce a constitutional amendment to the California Constitution. It's ACA 18, and it would increase the number of student regents. Currently, the way that student representation on the regents works is that there are two student regents. One of them is a non-voting student regent, and one of them is a voting student regent. When they get chosen, student regents get chosen and put into the non-voting regent position, and then after a year, they cycle to the voting, and then a new non-voting regent is chosen. And this ACA would increase so that there would be two non-voting and two voting student regents. So each year, two would be chosen, and then two would cycle to the voting student regent position. This resolution is basically just asking the California State Legislature to pass ACA 18 by June 25th, 2026, because it is a constitutional amendment. It needs to then be voted on. It will then be put on the ballot in November to be voted on as a proposition. And so if that were to happen, the legislature would need to pass it through both houses, both chambers by June 25th. And that's what we are asking them to do. Also, this resolution would make USAC a co-sponsor of the bill. And just basically says that we support it and we'll send a letter of support, which is also an agenda item. So yeah, I guess I was gonna do a presentation, but I don't want to like take up too much time. But like the main reasons why I think this is really important is because this position was created in 1974 when the population of the UC was 120,000 students, and now we are at more than 300,000 students, and yet the amount of student representation on the Board of Regents has not increased. Whereas in the CSU and the CC systems, in the past 5 years, both of those segments have gotten bills passed in the legislature that has increased the number of voting student trustees or board of governors, like students on the board of governors, to be from 1 to 2. So we are basically just trying to match what this community college system and the CSU system have. And for us, it's a little more difficult because the UC is constitutionally autonomous. So if this were to pass just as a bill, it would only be a recommendation for the UC. For most things, if it passes as a bill, and it mentions the UC, it requests the UC to do something, and we don't want to request them to do it. We want them to do it. So it has to be voted on, and we have to change the constitution. I guess the other thing is that when you look at the amount that diversity of students who are student regents, we see that a lot of campuses have way less representation. When you look at how many, what campuses student regions come from, most of them come from UC Berkeley and UCLA. Very little of them come from UC Santa Cruz, Santa Barbara, and also the amount of undergraduate students, only 25% of student regions have been undergraduate students. And we haven't had an undergraduate student regent voting or non-voting since 2021. And so the second thing that this bill would do is ensure that there is both undergraduate and graduate representation on in the student regent position. I think this is really important. We've seen the impact the immeasurable impact that the Board of Regents has in governance of the UC and making decisions about tuition and about what is funded and what is invested in. And I think that it makes a big difference when we have more student regents that are more accessible to all campuses and all majors and all students in the UC. So yeah, any questions?
No questions at all. Thank you, Sherry.
Wave fire. Um, I motion. I motion to pass a resolution calling on the California State Legislature to pass Assembly Constitutional Amendment 18.
I second.
Sherry motions, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. Damn, all against. I'm just kidding. Abstaining. With a vote of 13 to 0, the resolution calling on the California State Legislature to pass ACA 18 is approved. Next, we have a letter of support for ACA 18. I'm sure it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same. Wait, also thank you to every single council member co-sponsored the resolution. So thank you guys for that. And then, okay, yeah, I motion, the letter is the same thing. I motion to pass the letter of support for Constitutional Amendment 18.
Second.
Sherry motions, Brett seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With a vote of 12 to 0, that letter is approved. Next, we have a letter for AB 1650.
Yeah, this one is a assembly bill called Slam the Brakes on ICE, and it basically just removes the ability for federal law enforcement agents to like rent cars, or for car companies to rent out cars to ICE. That's basically what it is. But yeah, I think I don't even have to say like why this is important and how like salient this is to our Los Angeles and UCLA community. But yeah, any questions?
Nope.
Okay. I motion to pass a letter of support for Assembly Bill 1650.
A second.
Sherry motions, Daniel seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With a vote of 12 to 0, that letter for AB 1650 is approved. Next, we have AB 2374.
Do you want to talk about it?
I can just give a brief overview. This one is for in support of California's designation to require or to support universities and campuses that are seeking a NPZ institutional recognition. And then same thing goes for SB 2055. It's a statewide recognition for those institutions seeking Hispanic serving institution status. So if you can motion for the first one.
I motion to pass a letter of support for AB 2374.
I second.
Sherry motions, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With a vote of 12 to 0, that is approved. Next, we have SB 1255.
I motion to pass a letter of support for Senate Bill 1255.
I second.
Sherry motions, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With a vote of 12 to 0, that letter is approved. Next, we will enter executive session. Can we please, yes. Can we please motion to enter executive session? Nico?
I motion to enter executive session.
At 8:17. I second.
Nico motions, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, all abstaining. With a vote of 11 to 0, we will now enter executive session. I ask that Tommy please cut to the live on